Hey everyone, Dax Stanley here from Hera Property. I hope you're having an awesome Friday. As you know, we've got Bruno on. Hey Bruno, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you, Dex, for having me.
Excellent. You're welcome. It's good. It's a good Friday to have you on. Let's just, as you all know, that this is for the members and the members site, but we do run this live to the Facebook group, and also we're going to get Instagram going. So just hold your horses, and we'll just go live. And Bruno will connect up with us there. Okay, so let's go there. And checking connection. Okay. Hi everyone, Dax here again. I wanted to take a moment to say thank you for coming along on this Friday. We've got Bruno from One Central Property. Hey Bruno, Bruno's just joined and requested. Let's get this going live. As you know, we're doing this for the members of Hera Property, and it's all about growth and growing their portfolios. We've got the Zoom running here. Hey Bruno, we'll just turn our
Hey, how's it going?
volume off the PCs and we should be good to go.
All right, then.
Excellent, fantastic. Thanks for coming on. So as I was saying, Bruno, thanks for coming along on the show. I think we're getting a bit of feedback. Hang on. There we go. We'll turn that off. So just to give you a bit of an intro, Bruno and I met a couple of weeks ago in a business group, and we harmonized and we had a great chat, and we really aligned with our investment of property and our love for property, didn't we, Bruno?
Yeah, we did. We as soon as we talked about the property industry, we kind of clicked, and we saw how instantly we were able to help each other in regards to your property management and our investments opportunities. It just kind of clicked simultaneously.
It was fantastic. And hey, Joanna, we've got Joanna Speckleton on board. So Bruno is a property investment consultant. He's a managing director of One Central Property. He's a young entrepreneur, has been working in real estate for around 5 years. And what he focuses on is first-time buyers and investors to secure their properties. Bruno solely focuses on helping his clients enter the property market to secure their first investment property and opportunity. And that's where we connected, because as you know, the people in our launch program, that's all it's about. And so thank you, Bruno, for coming along. It's an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to asking you a few questions. Now, you were born in Sydney, but you grew up in Macau.
I did, yeah.
How did that work? How did it go? And then you came back to Sydney to achieve a degree in international business at
That's
Macquarie?
correct. That's correct, yes.
Why the move? What happened there?
For that one, I was born in Sydney, in Hornsby, which is where I am at the moment. Born here, but went back to the same home place again. So I think less than a year ago, I think my mom made a decision. You know what? We are able to have a better life in Macau, and so we went back to Macau. And I don't think she was able to handle me as a kid because I was very hyper, lots of energy. So I had to go back to Macau. So I grew up there, went to an international school, that's where I got the English from. And once we got to the university age, around 17, 18, I was shipped to Australia to acquire my international business degree, which is very similar to my brother. He also did his degree in Macquarie. And that's how it all happened, actually.
Fantastic. And from us talking, your family are seasoned property investors themselves, and you grew up around this sort of stuff all the time, inspecting properties, learning how to acquire it with your family. That must have been an amazing experience.
It was. We talk about one or two topics on the dinner table. Either was sports, either martial arts or soccer, which I did both. And second was property. And I think it was more of a common topic today. But growing up, there was a very topic that we spoke about. So yeah, I learned a lot from them.
Fantastic. And I guess, moving around so much, how many languages? About 4, I think I remember you saying. You know 4 languages fluently?
So it'll be English, Cantonese, Mandarin, Portuguese, but my Portuguese is a little bit rusty. It's still all right, but it's okay.
Well, that's good. I mean, it helps, you know, in your travels, it helps expanding your company, all that sort of stuff. Because, you know, I grew up in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, and I was one of 4 Australians, and everyone else was multicultural. We lived in the growth suburbs of Box Hill, and you know, I completely understand. I had all these different languages, so I know how to say thank you a lot in different ones. So, Bruno, tell me a bit about One Central Property and your vision around that. I'm really interested in finding more about that.
Yeah, so One Central Property's vision is really to drive a new age of Millennium Top Investors. And the reason why we decided to go with Millennium Top Investors is the age. Because the age of millennials is between 25 and about 35, 36. So it achieves kind of 2 objectives for us. The first one is relatable. We're able to relate to them because we're in the same category. And 2, we share the same challenges and experience. And on top of that, so that's how we designed the company to be what it is today. From a very innovative but comprehensive service for our clients today for their future. And so we really introduce different experts into the conversation, acquiring either their first investment property or the second or third or fourth one. So these experts will include financial brokers, financial planners, accountants, property managers, quantity surveyors, investment consultants, and so on. And so during times like this, we were able to kind of explore and how we can able to kind of further expand our vision. And I think that's how we able to do this partnership together. And a very interesting point with Hera Property Management is not only do you do property management, you also do kind of portfolio checks on each and every one of your investors. And what me and Joanne Jordan, us 3 directors, found really interesting was for every milestone you've done, you plant trees. And we thought that was a very interesting idea, not only to give back to nature itself, but to be part of a bigger community.
Thank you. Yeah, we love it. It's one of our major passions, and you know, we talked about our goal of 1 million trees by 2030 in those fire-stricken areas. So, yeah, it's fantastic to have visions like that, and I love how you've pulled a team together to be that sort of one-stop shop. And it really helps people like that because, you know, everyone's very busy, and it really helps them, you know, focus on what they do really well. And you can provide them with all those services to help them get their first or next property as well. So I love that. And you know, our passion is pretty aligned, and that's what I resonated with you. Where do you think that comes from, that passion?
Yeah, that passion, I think it came at a very young age. As you know, both my parents, they do investments themselves. But even before that, even I knew what they were doing. Before that, let's say around my teen years, on the weekends, we would actually visit display suites. This was in Macau, though. So we would, in the weekends, we will visit display suites. We get to see different projects, either new or off the plans. And, you know, as a kid, you know, the first thing you go to the display suite, you see the most fun room where all the toys, with double bunk beds, and then with all the nice paint around. And you just go inside, just visualizing. And you know what? I really want to stay here. I really don't want to go home tonight. So I would come out and I say, are we going to be staying here? You know, that kind of energy. And we've been doing it for quite a few months. So we will go to different display suite. And I was thinking, oh, why are we not staying here? Why are we not deciding to sleep here tonight? And so as I grew older, that piqued my curiosity. So I was we were just having conversation with my parents saying, what was the reason? And they would slowly explain the reason behind it is for investments. The investment for a better quality of life, better standard of living. And so that turned into a passion. So both my passion is either soccer and real estate. So that became kind of the passion. And that's kind of the origin of it.
I love it. I love it. That's good. You know, it's always interesting to find out why people do what they do. And once you find that, you can really see how you can work with each other. And I love finding that out with clients and partners like yourselves and stuff like that. And, you know, one of the other things I love to find out, and this is sort of relates to my next question, is what motivates you to get out of bed, you know, every morning? Because, you know, now we've got, you know, we're all, you know, in confinement. We are getting released now. I saw the borders between New South Wales and Victoria are opened, and ACT, which is great. So Bruno, I might be getting up there soon. I've got a couple of investments up there I want to check out, and we'll definitely catch up. So yeah, what motivates you to get out of the bed in the morning?
That's a very excellent question. What really motivates me to get off bed is knowing that the investment opportunities that we have in a pipeline, and after our checks, after our due diligence, after our own research, knowing exactly what sort of results our client can achieve, that to me is a very powerful thing to kind of introduce our clients, because they know exactly what the future will hold and how will that kind of transform their quality of life and standard of living. So that got me up every day. And the passion for real estate is like breathing air now. It's a daily thing that we do, so I breathe it in and out.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you know, we've talked about this. You know, you find an amazing property for somebody. They're vibrating on the same frequency. They understand. They've got all their ducks lined up. They understand. They've talked to their mortgage broker. They've talked to all those teams that you've got to help. You deliver them this beautiful property, and I've seen some of your stats, which are just fantastic. And they purchase. They close the deal. And then you can see they're already, you know, they're in a positive cash flow, or whatever their strategy was. It's working for them. And it just, yeah, you just go, yes, I'll do that again and again. So good work, man. And hi to Jazpreet is online as well. Thanks for joining us. So, I mean, I did mention it just before about how we're all in lockdown and stuff like that. It's been interesting for businesses like ours. You know, property supply has dropped, but demand has dropped. There's been different pockets and stuff like that. What are you seeing? How does your business coping during this current pandemic?
Look, there's no hiding that during times like this, people are going to be a lot more fearful, a lot more unknown what the future would hold for them. So what we have done as a company is more education, more about telling them what might happen, what will happen. And so we do more video consultations. And for that, we're able to do, because we don't go to work now, we don't commute to the office now, we're able to kind of spend more quality time with our clients, just really educating them about the market, right? Because there's a lot of articles, a lot of blogs about the market is dropping X amount percent. It's just about educating back them the reasoning of a particular place, and that's why we have all these experts to kind of recession proof that. Having a good financial broker is really essential at times like this. You need a really good one to kind of just compare with X amount of lenders, knowing exactly which lender is the best fit for you. And on top of that, during our consultations, we do identify very unique investment opportunities, because they just somehow just pick up, kind of just pop. And so we are there in the front lines to identify them and able to present them. So I think that was a very good way of kind of coping in it. And because of building relationships, now is a fantastic in doing new partnerships. That's why we partner with you as an example. I think it's because of like that, we're able to kind of expand more in depth with our business and our vision, and our unique relationship with developers and financial brokers, as I mentioned earlier, to really unlock hidden incentives. Because times like this, you know, there's a lot of incentives that we're able to negotiate on behalf of our investors. And support is what they need at times like this. They need someone to be along with them every step along the way, with a team. Either we call it the A team or one-stop service, to be there at all times.
Yeah, what are some of those? I really want to understand some of those incentives. Like, I know, you know, a lot of our members and stuff like that are really just starting off and learning how to invest and stuff like that. Can you just delve into a little bit about, developers, what's a good investment property from your perspective, and then how does those sort of incentives work? Because that's a really good model to get into people's heads, so they know that, okay, this is what Bruno and One Central Property does, and they can lock that in.
Yep. So in our company, we don't just select any project to take on. So we do have particular criteria, and we call it the One Central model. So in that model, actually, it has 7 kind of criteria or categories. So I'll go them step by step. So the first one will be the developers. So we do a very background check. We do interviews. We do conversations with them. Just have a good understanding of what their reputation is like, what is the experience, how long they've been in the game for, what sort of materials they use, what sort of construction company they use, and so on, so on, so on. So it's a very in-depth conversation with them. And we need to have a look at the areas we choose in, what sort of demand and population growth we'll be expecting to see based on the research we do, because we want to go into an area that we want future tenants either moving in or future owner-occupiers, homeowners wanting to buy their first home there or home. So we want to know it's in demand. And we look into the third one will be the investment infrastructures. So either if it's from a private or a public sector, if from a private sector, if they're investing a lot of money to make that suburb that much more desirable, that much more livable, along with a separate with government sector, improving the roads, having a new hospital, improving the consoles, and so on. So we know that is a confidence into the area. They know this area will look good. Now they're making it even better now. So that is a kind of a checkpoint for us. Number 4 will be our vacancy rates. So that is a very good kind of a checkpoint for our investors, or for ourselves to kind of analyze very quickly if that suburb is either oversupply or undersupply. So as a rule of thumb, we always try to go below 3%. And that is a very good balance for your supply and demand. It achieves a few things. One of them will be, it will be easier to find your future tenants rather than if it's a vacancy is really high. So that is one thing. And 2, it doesn't fluctuate the price as badly. Because when we know if it's much more in demand, we know more people want to actually move in. So recession proofs certain times like this.
That's good.
And number 5 will be, yeah, absolutely. And number 5 will be your amenities.
So I'm just saying, Ryan joined us. Hey guys, we've got Bruno Novo here, Managing Director of One Central Property. We're talking about investment properties, either being your first property or your next one. Bruno has a team of experts. We're talking about what he identifies as a good investment property at the moment. Please keep going, Bruno. I love it.
Yeah, no problem. So on the 5th one, we'll have a look at the amenities of the project, right? Either if there's little or none amenities, meaning there's no gym, there's no swimming pool in it, so the maintenance won't be, it's quite affordable for investors. Or 2, we recently we just signed up with a new partnership with a developer where they have kind of world-class kind of amenities. They have, cinema, gym, swimming pool, and so on and so on. The first thing that came to our mind was, how much would the strata or the owners corporation, which is Victoria, right? How much would it cost? When we did our research, it was actually quite affordable. So that was a very interesting point for us to take on, because normally we don't take on projects like that. But after looking at the research, the numbers, it was almost a no-brainer. And I think from an investor point of view, from an owner-occupier point of view, is that desirable. You have your private cinema in your building. So that was very cool. And I think some of our investors, some of your investors, we're going to definitely explore that. And the last 2 one, the number 6 will be our cash flow. So when we go to a particular stage of our conversation, what we provide is a 10-year investment blueprint.
Yes.
Which is probably what you've seen before, right? And what they will see is from day 1, what sort of cash flow they can expect to receive or achieve. So that is very important for our investors, knowing what the future holds them, right? If they're in a positive cash flow, what would X amount a few $1,000s extra after your investment net mean to the daily life? So that was very important. And then the last point will be the growth, which is appreciation. How, with all the first six kind of categories, they all adds up to the appreciation of the area, the property. So that growth is what will create wealth. So that was very important for us to identify using this criteria. So this has worked really well with all our investments.
So Bruno, there's 8, I think we got there.
8, right? Okay.
8 different things. And it's quite complex, isn't it? It's, and you know, you've got 13,000, just over 13,000 suburbs in Australia, Australia-wide. Now, Bruno's team is out there talking to developers, talking to people that are building new stock in the market. And like
you said, Bruno, I was very surprised that you're investing into something that's got some high
But when you
amenities.
explained it into terms of, you know, that is something that in that suburb, people really want. So they're willing to pay the rent to have those facilities in that area. And I think that's that knowledge and experience that you and your team bring to the table to sort of go, yes, there's a cinema, and yes, there's a pool, and yes, there's this, but next door has nothing, and it's getting X amount of rent, but this place is getting this much more rent. And that'll cover your strata. That'll cover all this sort of stuff. It's a premium product, but also grows faster compared to the neighbours. Because if you put 3 better up in that neighbour's place, and 3 better up in that high-end one, you're going to get a higher price straight away in that sort of market. And I love that analysis, because it's not, you're not a one-stop shop. You're not, let's buy in this growth area and that's all we do. And that's what I relate well to, is that you do your homework and you get in there and you have a look at, you know, the product and the developer and, you know, what they're building, and then you go to the suburb. And I love that you're not just cash flow, but finding that balance between cash flow and capital growth. That gets you wealthy. This keeps you surviving. And I love that balance and understanding you'll be able to be doing decent depreciation to get money in your pocket, or keep it, you know, neutral, so you don't, it's hands off. You don't have to do it. And that's why we love that freedom program. It's just freedom to set and forget. Let it run its turn, and, you know, talk to Bruno. And you do something similar to us as well, where you talk to your investors every so often and know when they're ready to buy next, don't you?
I do. And before I go into that, I got a good story, because you mentioned a very good point, because choosing a particular area. So there's this area we just got exposed to with our new development. In that area, there is 4 hospitals, right? So in that 4 hospitals, what we understand is all the doctors and nurses, and we know that they've been working tirelessly throughout this whole few months. And for them, the number one issue they haven't going to work is they can't find car park, right? And they probably will live quite far away from the hospital, at least maybe an hour away, because of maybe the rent, right? Maybe they want to be a little bit further out. So what we identified with one of our projects, because of all the amenities we've just mentioned, the doctors, they want to live a quality of life, but they want to be close by to the hospital as well, and also have car parking. So that criteria is quite hard to achieve. So we found for this particular project, not only does it has this gym, it has this concierge, it has like those click and collect, you order stuff online and go to that parcel, all these amenities. And it's just a few moments away from the hospital, maybe like 500 meters away. So that create that sort of demand. So while all the doctors now are able to kind of invest here, because they do make pretty good money. And with all that money, pay a lot of tax. So having that investment property, but close by to the hospital, it slowly starts to do that, you know, it does make sense. It does make sense. It does make sense. And so back to your question is, yes, we do very regular checkouts with our clients, our investors. So before the settlement, I would personally do maybe every 2 weeks to a month. So we have a conversation, how's things going? Have you had the conversation with the broker? Have you had the conversation with the conveyancer? How's everything looking like? Just because I'm no longer how do I say this? Like I will always be the main contact person to my clients. So I know exactly from a background. I'm in most of the time in control of all the conversations. So I know what is happening from my client's point of view. And after the settlement, I will do a very regular checkup, especially the first month, how they're feeling, because now they bought the first one. The first investment property is a huge milestone, huge milestone. So I need to find out how they're feeling, how's it looking like, and then we do it probably every quarter or so. See what sort of equity we can play with, what is the plan for the next one, and so on and so on.
That's awesome. Yeah, and really, One Central Property really aligns with Hera's principles that way, about growth, about helping them buy well the first time. My history, that I was able to buy my first investment property in Sydney and make a lot of money by just doing the research and finding the right spot. And that leveraged me very quickly into my investment portfolio. So, I love what you're doing, Bruno. I think it's fantastic. Thank you. I've got my usual 2 questions that everyone knows about. So, Bruno, what's something that people don't know much about you? Give me something interesting that that no one knows.
I kind of spilled the beans in a very early stage. So one thing a lot of people don't know about me after I entered this industry is I used to play semi-professional soccer. So I played in Portugal and England as well for a short period amount of time. So that's a lot of people who don't know about me in the industry. But before the industry, a lot of people know I do that. So that's something a lot of people don't know.
Yay, excellent. Okay, well, we might have to play a bit of ball. I'm not that good, but that's good. Well done, man. That's great. And look, thank you very much for coming on board. I think there's been some really good nuggets of information. Those eight criteria that you came through and stuff like that. And my last question is, how do people contact you? I know we talked about, everyone can contact you through the show and through our groups and stuff like that. But yeah, what's the best way people can contact you?
So firstly, thank you for having me on the show once again. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate being part of the show. And so the best way to get in contact will be either our Facebook, you go to One Central Property, or you go to our Instagram, onecentral.property. Feel free to DM us, send us a message if you have any questions. And as a gift for today's show, we would like to give, based on the 8 categories, I'm sure it'll be quiet to take notes in that because there's quite a lot to take notes on. So as a gift for this show, we'll be sending through a PDF, so a starter kit that will cover the 8 categories and the step-by-step of how to become a property investor.
Yeah.
So we'll include that. So comment below if you would like a copy of that, and we'll organize that.
Bruno, thank you so much. That's really great. You're the first to give something away, and I really appreciate it. It's a really great thing. So I know we've got a few online here on Instagram and Facebook and in our members group. So please comment below. Bruno and I will send that out to you. Bruno, send that across to me, and we'll get that across through the channels and things like that. I'm going to have a bit of a read myself because I love do that stuff. And look, thank you so much for being on the Hera interview series. I think you're a real great partner that I think, there's a lot of people that will love what you do. And it's that first investment property. It really does catapult you to success. If you don't do it the right way, and I've seen so many people go and do it themselves and think, oh, I know this one's a killer, and go to auction, pay too much for it. And it takes years to recover from that. There's case study after case study that, I've repaired. We've had people come on board and I've seen their investments, and we've literally cleaned them up, put them back on the market, sold it, and then go to someone like Bruno and go, let's find something that really suits where they want to go, what their lifestyle is, and what their end goal is. And so, Bruno, thank you for supplying that to the market. Thank you for coming on the show. And I look forward to I'd love to get you back on probably when this COVID stuff comes out, and maybe we could do a case study on one of your projects.
Absolutely, that will be a fantastic, fantastic idea. And I think based on your story, I think the number one thing we're actually trying to achieve is take the emotion out of the decision making process as much as possible. As much as possible. Yeah.
Isn't that, yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And that's why we have people like you that can go and talk to the numbers and stuff like that, and just make sure it's very clear. We're not salespeople here. We're not people that push you into buying stuff or anything like that. It's all numbers driven. It's all making sure that it's very clear and concise. So thank you, Bruno. And to everyone on Instagram, thank you. We got a whole lot of people, Ryan, Steve, a few others there. I should have asked if you wanted any questions. If you've got any questions, please post it below. We're on for a little bit. I'll go over to Facebook. We've got a fair few people on there, which is fantastic. That's really good. I think we've dropped off. So I'll say goodbye to Instagram. Thank you so much. Stay online here. We'll save that. And we'll get that going. I'll move that over here. How good's that? And we'll get that happening. And I'll pause the Facebook.